theyeshiva.net.
Why does God need coronation? He needs me. He needs Rabbi YY Jacobson to coronate him. He created me. I know an ordinary king needs to be nominated by the people. Once in 4 years, we have the opportunity to vote in a new president or not a new president, an older president for the United States of America, because we live in a country where without these elections, the president can't be president. The power comes from the people. We give leaders their power. What about God? God created us. We don't even have the authority and the chutzpah to tell God, by the way, I think you should be king. Shkoyach, thank you. And if I think he shouldn't be king, he won't be king. What do we say every morning? Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzur nivra. He was a king before anybody was created. What does it mean on Rosh Hashanah we coronate God? Rabbi Soloveitchik, Rabbi Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik Zatzal used to say when he was a child, he grew up in a city called Chaslavich, and his teacher was a Chabad Chosid. So he said his teacher used to tell him that the Tzemach Tzedek used to say that the night of Rosh Hashanah is Coronation Nacht. It's the night of coronation. And he said his teacher would look at him and the other boys said, who are we coronating? So he said, I was a smart aleck. I said, Nicholas. And my teacher said, Nicholas? First of all, Nicholas was already coronated a couple of years ago. Why do we have to coronate him again? And second of all, what a Jewish response. Nicholas is no real king. He's the Russian Tsar. He's no real king. He comes and he goes. We all know the tragic end of Nicholas after the Bolshevik Revolution. We know what Lenin and his chevra did to the Romanovs in 1917. So he says, tonight, Rabbi Soloveitchik said, my teacher said, tonight we coronate the Ribono Shel Olam. And who coronates him? You and you and you. And he would say, Yankel the shoemaker, and Chaim the water carrier, and Motel the one who sells fruit. And he would go through all the Balabatim, many of Balabatim Chaslavich, simple God-fearing Jews. He says, they are the ones who coronate God. But what does it mean? What does it mean? Rabbi Soloveitchik said, I learned Gemara Rosh Hashanah. I know the Rishonim and Achronim on Rosh Hashanah. I know the works of Musar, Machshava, Kabbalah, Chassidus on Rosh Hashanah. I know it all, Rabbi Soloveitchik said. But nobody inculcated the Rosh Hashanah experience in my bones like that teacher in Chaslavich with those two words of the Tzemach Tzedek, Coronation, the night of coronation. I ask you, my dearest friends, what does it mean to coronate God any year, especially during the age of Corona? And one explanation to this is, and with this I conclude my remarks tonight, is the words we say every day in Aleinu, 3 times a day. And what do we say? V'kablu chulam aleim es ol malchusecha, v'simloch aleim mehera lo'olam vad. Or for our Sephardic brothers, v'timloch aleim mehera lo'olam vad. Ki ha-malchut shalchahi. Ki ha-malchus shalchahi, for our Ashkenazic brethren, Yotzei Lita. What does it mean? Malchut, malchus, however you want to pronounce it. Ki ha-malchus shalchahi. Kingship is yours. Let everybody accept your kingship because kingship is yours. What does this mean? Kingship is yours. Friends, it means something very deep. God doesn't need me to coronate him because he created me and he's my king whether I agree or I don't agree. My very existence, every moment, comes from Hashem. The Baal Shem Tov says the world is recreated every single moment by divine energy. So the only energy that is real in the world is God's energy that is flowing through every single creature. From the tiniest mosquito, butterfly, caterpillar, every insect, to the largest planet. From the elephant, hyena to the bee. Every living organism, every cell, every atom, every shrub, bush, plant, and tree. Every living organism, organic matter and inorganic matter. Every droplet of rain, every flake of snow, every grain of dust, every beating heart, every blade of grass, from the black hole to every other galaxy, every single entity and being in this world is created every single moment through Hashem's energy. If we had the courage to cleanse the doors of our perception, everything would appear as is, a manifestation of infinity. Coronating God in my life is saying something very deep. It's saying that you know who runs me, you know who's the ruler in my life, not my addictions, not my fears, not my laziness, not my stress, not my anxiety. You know who's the ruler in my life? The divine, infinite core inside of me. When I coronate God as my king, it means that inside of me I have a king. And you know who's the king? You know who reigns supreme in my life? Not my trauma, but my infinite core, my divine core. Every soul is a chelik Eloka mimal mamsh. Every soul is a piece of Hashem. So on Rosh Hashanah, you have to make this decision. And you have to ask this question. Friends, it's not such an easy question to answer. Who is the king in my heart? Who is the king in my brain? Who rules my life? Who makes the decisions for me? Is it my skeletons? Is it my trauma? Is it my abuse? Is it a restricted form of self? Or the decisions in my life are being made by my most expansive version of self, by my infinite core, by the part of me that reflects God's infinity, by the part of me that is wholesome, that is invincible, that is unbreakable, by the part of me that was never shattered and will never be shattered because it's a manifestation of God's infinite power and light, by the part of me that is confident, that is happy, that is optimistic, that is joyous, that is filled with possibility and potential, by the part of me that is not afraid and has nothing to fear but fear itself. Who is the king in my life? Who will I coronate this Rosh Hashanah? Will I allow my addictions to rule me? Will I allow my depression to rule me? Will I allow my anxiety to rule me? Will I allow my stress to rule me? Will I allow my insecurity to rule me? To be sure, I have insecurities. I have depression. I have anxiety. I have stress. I may have addiction. But will it own me or will I own it? Will it contain me or will I contain it? Who is the king in my life? To coronate God on Rosh Hashanah means that I declare Ki Malchus Shalchahi Shetamlichuni Aleichem V'Simloich Atohu Hashem Elokeinu Levadecha Al Kol Masach. God, you are the king. And what does this mean internally, psychologically? It means my divine essence can rule me. My divine essence, which is not lazy, which is not sad, which is not depressed, which is not paralyzed, and which is not traumatized. When I can re-identify myself as an ambassador of God in this world, I'm free. I'm invincible. I am a manifestation of Hashem. Even the sky is not the limit. And then my talents, resources, gifts, powers don't have to remain pregnant forever. Rather, they can be born. Never, perhaps, in our life have we experienced this profound upheaval with the coronavirus. And I think this year more than ever, at the age of Corona, we have to have the courage to coronate God. To coronate God in our life means, despite the uncertainty, despite the fear, despite the anxiety, despite the fact that all of our lives have been shaken up in one way or another. Some of us have suffered terribly, whether physical illness, loss of close loved ones, or other challenges, financial or otherwise. Nonetheless, at such a moment when people are tried, or as Thomas Paine said, there are moments that try people's souls, men's souls, women's souls. At such a moment, the best in us can come out or the worst in us could come out. Rosh Hashanah beacons to us and says, let the best in you come out. Let this be a day of true judgment when you can really judge yourself. And you can realize that you're being judged by the one who loves you most and wants your most success and is giving you the opportunities to be able to live your life to the fullest and fulfill your potential in the world. At such a moment, I tell myself, I don't want to remain pregnant. I want to be born. But the prerequisite is coronate God at the age of Corona. Develop a personal and intimate relationship with God. Realize your power as a divine ambassador. And when you realize that, you know that you will be unstoppable. And no fear will be able to paralyze you. And no anxiety will be able to rule over you. Because every day you will align yourself with your infinite core. And when I do that and when you do that, I can operate from that state of consciousness and take on the world and take on the challenges of the day with a sense of centeredness and balance and equilibrium. So my dear friends, as we stand a few days before Rosh Hashanah, I send you my deepest love and blessings. May God grant you the most awesome, healthy, prosperous, happy, abundant year. And may we all have the courage to be able to live up to our truest light, to identify that aspect of ourself, the divine kingship inside each and every soul, and not allow any other force to rule us besides the God peace inside us. When that peace rules you, then your life expands in a whole different way. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not trapped by pettiness and by smallness, by things that hold me back. Rather, I'm opened up to new opportunities. May you all have a Shana Tova for you, the entire community, Great Neck Synagogue, your whole community, the whole Great Neck, all of our brothers and sisters in Israel and the world over and the entire world. Shnat Tova, Shana Metuka, Shnat Geula v'Yeshua, b'mheira b'yameinu. Amen. Thank you very much.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.